Part 2 of the social experiment. These next set of questions are still purely based on opinions and beliefs that people have, so the responses may vary. Do you think mixed race people are more beautiful than non-mixed race people?
No, not really. I believe everyone is created equally, kind of, so everyone's pretty equal.
Okay. Do you think mixed race people are more beautiful than non-mixed race people?
Yes.
Why so?
Because they have more prominent characteristics that make them stand out.
Okay, so they have like best of both worlds, you could say.
Yes.
It depends.
How so?
Is it a yes or no question? I don't know, it depends. I mean, I took a psychology class and they said that the more faces you put together, the more attractive they seem to be. So I guess yes.
So the answer is yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. You're really gonna record?
Yeah.
Look at me.
Mixed race people?
No,
Why is that?
because I don't think race defines beauty. I think beauty is defined from within.
I think it depends. I think there's beauty in every culture. Don't really think it depends on the combination of mixes per se. I feel like sometimes that plays a factor, but for the most part, it's just dependent.
The next question I ask, do you think it's easier being mixed race than being one ethnic background?
No,
Why is that?
because you have more family to deal with.
So it's not easier being mixed race?
No.
Okay.
It's easier having one ethnic background,
Why is that?
so you don't have to worry about stereotypes of both ethnicities.
I'm saying no,
Why is that?
because each race or ethnic background has like their own cultural norms and stuff. So if you're two, then you kind of have to fit both.
No, I think both can be difficult. I think people who have more than one often encounter conflicts with the opposing side, especially if they identify with one more than the other. And I feel like, for example, people who are just one have their own obstacles that they face too, like minorities.
I feel like there's times where it can be a little bit of both. For the most part, it can be easier not having to identify solely with one culture. Being multicultural, I have the option to identify more or less with whatever part I am, depending on my surroundings and who I'm around. I think it can also be more difficult though, because you also do get kind of biased depending on that. And also just it's hard to fully identify with a culture knowing that there's always more than one.
Do you think being mixed race can impact people's health?
No, not at all. I feel like it has nothing to do with people's health.
So,
No, I don't think they have anything to do with each other.
what if,
Yes.
how so?
I mean, statistically, African Americans live shorter than whites. So if you're both, it affects you. It's in your genes, like biological.
I'm not really sure, like scientifically, like
Yeah, like genetically or something.
genetically. No, I don't think so. No.
I feel like it could. I know that genetics and different cultures have different genetic, malfunctions or flaws, and I feel like when you mix those or put them all together, those kind of combine.
Do you believe interracial relationships are more accepted today than in the past? Why or why not?
Definitely.
Why is that?
Because there's a more broadened spectrum of people that are racist. Like, actually, I said that completely wrong. There's a smaller variety of people that are racist. People are more accepting nowadays.
Do you feel that's just here in California or just anywhere in general?
I feel like a lot of it has to do with California, because California is a very mixed area. But yes, there are other places that are still very racist, but I believe that racism has definitely gone down a lot than the past.
Do you think?
Yes.
Why is that?
because you see more of them today and they are less judged versus in the past. I definitely see it more in the United States versus around the world, because around the world it's not as diverse as we are here in America.
Yes,
Why is that?
because my grandparents grew up at a time where it wasn't, and over time things have just changed.
I definitely think so. I think just since there's been a lot more multiracial relationships, a lot of people don't look at it as bad.
For the final question, I ask this. Do you think mixed race people will help lead an end to racism and create a colorblind society?
I feel like they could. They kind of it makes people be more accepting towards them because there's more mixed races nowadays, more mixed interracial relationships. So it forces people that are usually predominantly racist to become more accepting of interracial people of other races.
Yes, they will definitely play a big part in it. Well, because they have the feeling of both sides, so they can connect to both sides.
So you're saying, like, can mixed people
Help.
get rid of?
Yeah.
I think it's going to take more than just them. I think you need, like, all different types of people to do something like that. Well, it depends what races are being mixed. Because I'm mixed, but I wouldn't say that I face racism compared to
Is that because you identify as white?
maybe. But, I mean, you can't, like, I mean, it depends on what the mix is.
Okay.
That's a good question. That's a hard question.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Do you think mixed race people will help lead an end to racism or create a colorblind society?
No. Yes and no. I say no because I feel that as soon as they disclose which ethnicity they are, and let's say they encounter someone racist towards one of their ethnicities, they're still bound to get backlash from
that.
Yeah, from that side of them. And yes, because they can represent more than one, and it can be seen as positive for people who identify.
I feel like that's 50-50 answer. On one side, I feel like mixed races, like if it continues, people continue to mix races. I don't know if you've heard of like the melting pot, but eventually I feel like that's where we could end up. And definitely when it's more of a mix of races, I feel like people are more tolerant of different races and racial cultures. However, I also feel like no matter what the mix is, there's always going to be some aspect of racism because there's always that root culture and root cultural practices that are always going to be a little bit conflicting with one another.
Alright guys, all I want to say is thanks for watching, and thanks to Professor Jay for allowing me to do this for a final project, and yeah, that's it. Have a good one.